Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shred's Takes, part of the Amherst student. I'm joined here by sophomore Ben Kuzma on the hockey team. They're off to a great start this season. Remind me, 6-1-1 or 6-1-1. Just beat Williams and Middlebury this past weekend before the break. Ben, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Just to jump into it, the first question I want to get into is, what drove you to become a hockey player to start off with?
So my dad actually played college basketball. So I guess the natural path would have been basketball player, but wasn't gifted with the height that you were gifted with. But my mom's side of the family is all from upstate New York, and hockey's a big thing up there. And I guess the influence is kind of from my mom's side of the family, but started young. So parents put me in it. Didn't have much of a choice there, but always loved it growing up. So just stuck with it from here on.
To talk a little bit about the path from high school to Amherst, kind of talk about how that path went, what made you decide that Amherst was kind of the right spot for you.
So I guess most kids in my class, COVID really impacted kind of the decision making process for schools. Like I didn't get to visit Amherst at all. It was shut down for COVID. So everything that I heard about the school was through word of mouth and kind of reputation. But obviously heard a lot of great things from people that have been here and just people familiar with the school and the area. And of course, like with the hockey team and alumni in that sense. So wasn't like a super intimate discovery with the school. Didn't get to see it, but I'm obviously was familiar with the academic kind of prowess of the school, and obviously the athletic success across the teams has always been strong. So those things coupled together kind of played into part my decision.
So now shifting over to hockey, right? Like we mentioned before, 6-1-1, incredible start for you guys. I mean, really, really amazing stuff you guys are doing. Highlighted obviously by this incredible weekend you guys had. From what I've gathered, you guys haven't beaten Williams in a while, so it was really nice to beat them. I assume, in your opinion, we'll talk about that in a second. But you beat Williams 4-3, and then you beat Middlebury, I believe 6-0, if I'm correct there. And so obviously huge wins for the program, huge step in the right direction. In a sense that. What do you think allowed you guys to kind of build that success, and what has been kind of working so far for you guys as a team, and that you guys can hopefully translate as you get into tougher, grueling schedule after break?
I think that we're just kind of playing as a team right now, and we're staying in all these games, and we've come back in close games. I think just because we're competing harder than the other team, it's really just like we're working harder. That maybe we did last year as a team, and kind of sticking to the game plan more as a team than we've done in the past. And I think just like the buy-in is a little bit more for this team as opposed to last year. And it's reflected in that all the games are close. That's just how it's going to be, like in these NESCAC games. But we stay in every game, and we've come back from 2-goal deficits, 3-goal deficits this year. So I just think like the mentality, staying in games, always playing hard, never giving up in any game. I think that's kind of helped us always compete, even when we were down this year.
Yeah, no, from what I've gathered from other guys, talking to other guys, kind of the same sentiment. So look, you've had a lot of success in your first 2 years individually, but what I kind of want to talk about in a sense is, the idea of using that to become like maybe a lead by example leader type guy for the younger guys coming in, and kind of discuss. There's like two parts to the question. One, this year, how do you think your leadership has grown or changed maybe this year? And then what is the impact of maybe the captains you have on this team had on you developing that ability to be looked up to as a leader?
Well, our captains this year, Joe Verkirky and Connor Merrill, two great guys. We all love them. And I think they've kind of led the way by example and vocally. But just the fact that they're like good people, work hard, that's kind of rubbed off on all the guys. And it's kind of like set the tone this year. I mean, for me personally, not the most vocal guy in the room, but just looking to Connor and Joe and some of the other seniors like Evan Lichman, Aaron Jones, like it's really helped um, by the way that they lead, just in everything they do, and just being good people. Um, that's like kind of helped everybody kind of lead in their own way. Um,
Yeah, and talk about in a sense too, just what did you learn about yourself from last year that you think that's translated this year? Because I mean, you've obviously been off to a great start. I know you're a guy who likes to talk about the team more than maybe yourself, but I think in the sense like, what do you think you learned from both of you? Because you had success, right? So, what do you think you've kind of learned about, I guess, NESCAC hockey in that sense?
I think starting the year last year just wasn't like super familiar playing in the league, um, and obviously used last year just experience playing the types of teams and the style of play in the conference. It was helpful this year, kind of knowing what to expect going into this year, especially making the transition from junior hockey to college hockey is a big jump. Um, so I'd say just getting those games under my belt the first year has helped, like, kind of have a quick start this year for a lot of guys, because the COVID year, all of our juniors, their first college games were last year too, so they missed their whole freshman year. So I think just that combination, like a lot of guys having a college year under their belt, has helped a lot in how we've kind of started quickly and well. So
Great stuff. The one thing I want to talk about a little bit too is you guys have had a mix of older guys and younger guys being successful this season, which I think is awesome. Talk a little bit about kind of just the impact of both. You think in terms of having depth for your guys' success going forward throughout the season.
yeah, Coach Arena, he plays. We roll four lines. We play everybody. Everybody's seen a game this year, and lines aren't and playing time isn't determined by like age or experience. It's just kind of if the fit is right. So I mean that's been helpful. Like kind of a good blend of older guys and younger guys up and down the lineup. So it's not super determined based on like experience. I mean everyone's contributed in their own way, and it's shown. Like we have a lot of younger guys stepping up this year. A lot of the freshmen have been um, huge parts of the team so far this year, and just shows that experience isn't the only factor that plays into how well we play. But it is nice to see that like the older guys can kind of lead the younger guys through example. But it's nice to see that like older guys are playing on lines with younger guys, and everyone's contributing regardless of class or age. So it's good to see.
So obviously last year, you guys were, I covered your team a little bit last year for the student, and you guys were really close in a lot of games last year, right? Like obviously a younger team, right? Didn't quite win as many as I think you guys would have liked to, even though you guys had success, obviously, in certain periods of the season. But talk a little bit about like, do you think that the idea of that depth and I think that continuity plays a huge? You kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but I kind of want to see if you can expand on it. Like touched a little bit about that in the sense of um, your guys' ability to close out games so far? Because again, you've had a game like against Geneseo where you guys were down 3-0. You had a game against Williams where you guys are down 3-2, right? Like that. Like those are examples of games where you guys have had to come back. Even against St. Michael's, you guys started out down that game, for example, right? So, talk a little bit about kind of do you like what you think has been a determining factor in you guys being able to win those games this year as opposed to last year where it was kind of not as consistent as you probably would have liked.
I think this year, even when we've been down, we've been playing well, and uh, it's shown like in the shots. Like we've outshot a lot of teams this year, even if we've been down, or lost. And I think just us knowing that we've played consistent and well throughout the season has helped us know that we can come back from games. And obviously, like you said, being down with St. Mike's, that's an early game that we, we're able to like kind of gather ourselves after being down and come back and win that one. And the Geneseo game early where we ended up tying it at being down 3-0. I think those games, having those early in the year, helped just in that it showed that like any game, even if we're down a few goals, like we're not out. And like I said about the buy-in, like a lot of like we're competing the entire game, and like I said, like we're out shooting teams even if we're down. And I just think like the confidence of our team, knowing that like we can score a few goals even if we haven't had the puck luck that game, and knowing that we have come back before has been like really helpful, especially like with Williams. Like we've done it before early in the season, so it wasn't like we're down, like we're out. it was more like it's just a matter of time before the puck luck starts going our way, and just kind of trusting our system and how we play.
So obviously, there's a lot of highlights to take away from the first semester, right? You guys beating Wesleyan, you guys beating Trinity, Williams, and Mid, right? Teams who've traditionally dominated NESCAC hockey, right? So I was saying, obviously, you guys transition into the games in January. What is something that you're just looking forward for the rest of the season? I mean, I feel like it can be maybe from a game standpoint. It can just be from a team camaraderie standpoint. Just being able to maybe just spend more time with the guys and practice and stuff like that. But obviously, I know as a basketball player that like January is just a very big transition because you don't have any classes. So talk a little about like what are you looking forward for through that, and then maybe the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think being that we play each NESCAC team twice, we've already played a handful of teams, so those second games are always a little bit more grittier, a little more personal. So I think those games are always exciting, and as it gets closer to like playoff seeding and stuff like that, games like mean a little bit more, and obviously everyone's like giving that extra effort in these games. But obviously, the team side it'll be fun in January. Just um, you know, spending more time with the team and the guys and playing a lot of hockey. But I think we're just all excited, just the way things have been going, and we know there's like a lot of season left. We're only about a third of the way through the season, playing 8 games. Um, so we're excited to kind of get to work because we know there's a lot left to do. But yeah, no, I think those late season matchups are always really fun, and like exciting atmospheres, knowing that like each point is really really important for seeding. So just looking forward to those matchups.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I just want to say, like, obviously, you guys are going to be on the road more against those teams too. What do you think? Can you guys can use to be able to win those tougher road games? Because from at least from my experience, like road games are always just a tougher environment because you don't have the crowd going for you, right? So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think we've only played 2 away games so far. We had a lot of home games to start the year, but I think those trips can be a lot of fun, just being on the bus with the guys and playing games and doing stuff like that. But no, those will definitely be challenging games because seems like the NESCAC this year, at least for hockey, like there's a lot of crowd involvement. I'm not sure how involved it'll be in January with all the students gone, but I think it's a good time for us to go away January. There's no J term this year, no classes going on, so it might make things a little bit easier given there's not as much homework or things to do. But no, I think uh, going on the bus with the guys, like that's always a fun thing to like go into someone else's rank and try to steal some points from them. But I think those are just exciting times to like try to make statements with teams, and it's always a little bit harder to grind out a win in someone else's stadium, but those are fun games. So
Yeah, thanks for that. And really appreciate you coming on, and kind of sharing your thoughts. Obviously, I'm going to see you in January, but I wish you guys the best of luck and continued success because obviously you guys are off to a great start, and it'd be awesome to see you guys continue that the rest of the way. So, thank you so much.
thanks for having me.